Hello everyone, a warm welcome to one and all. Today we move into a very beautiful zone of Jupiter transit. The transit of Jupiter is considered very essential because Jupiter is the biggest planet after Sun that is found in our solar system and as such affects us in a number of ways. In the Ashtakvarga, it is the Jupiter that gains the maximum number of points in the Ashtakvarga. So this is a very important transit, and being a yearly transit, most of the progressions of the West are based on the 1 year transit of Jupiter. The importance of Jupiter cannot be specified enough because Jupiter gives us wisdom. It is the ruler of the 12th house of the natural zodiac, so it also gives us the moksha. There's so many things Jupiter is associated with, 16 kinds of wealth, be it the love of your children or your grandparents, be it the wisdom that we desire, the intellect, be it the money, so many things that Jupiter gives us. So let us talk about what this transit has to bring. But before I move on to this transit, let me just go back a step back and see that Jupiter at this moment is transiting through the last part of Jyeshtha Nakshatra. What is or who is the ruler of Jyeshtha Nakshatra? The ruler of Jyeshtha Nakshatra is none other than Lord Indra. Indra is the king of the Devatas and as such holds a very strong and a stellar position in the entire zodiac. Indra's post was attained by a very strong penance done by a being. It's a post that being attains over a period of time because the person has had the ability to do a lot of hard work, the courage to face very difficult situations and come out victorious of them. Indra is a very realized person. However, power leads to a lot of corruption. Once the seat of Indra is attained, it is difficult to let go of it because it's the utmost position in the stellar company of the Devatas. The person has a lot of power and can use, misuse, abuse it, but this power is definitely there. And once we've tasted the success of powers, it is difficult to let it go. Point 2. There is a very strong area. In fact, if I talk about Gandhantas, the Gandhanta between Jyeshtha and Moola is said to be the most difficult of the Gandhantas because it is the transition from not just the water to the fire, but from Jyeshtha to Moola. I ask you to just have a good look at a seat of power and then you have to come down and work as a common man. How does it feel? The person will have lost a sense of recognition. The power that is given, the sense of recognition bestowed on you by Jyeshtha loses its prominence, or the person loses that sense of recognition when a planet moves into Moola, because Moola means basic. Moola at times is uh, also shown by roots. So the roots that we kind of see are so underground. There is a basic move from a topmost level to right down to the basic level. And that does not gel well with everybody, especially when we are so drunk on the power of success and the power of getting work done through so many other ways for us. So this transition, this Gandhanta, acts as a kind of a break for us. It makes us realize a lot of things. Let's not forget, Jupiter has also moved in the last set of the 4 zodiac signs. So it is moving towards a spiritual dimension. And when we are talking about spirituality, the loss of ego is a must. The move from Jyeshtha to Moola is one of the very sharp moves for us, or should we say it is a move that kind of shakes us up because the person moves from a position of power to the disillusion of ego. This is something we need to keep in mind before we can add a very beautiful transit before the transit of Jupiter. Yes, the transit of Jupiter into Sagittarius is a beautiful one because the benefic comes home, the head of the family comes back and has an ability to now make new laws. But this will also shake up a lot of things in the way. Keeping that in mind, if we move ahead, we will be able to judge this transit with a better view and a better idea. Jupiter transits to Sagittarius on November 5th, 2019. It is one of the planets whose transit we always await, and Jupiter moves from the 8th house of the natural zodiac into the 9th house, its own house, the Sagittarius. We welcome this movement with jubilation and expectations. However, as I gave you the caveat example, we need to understand that this transit is a mixed bag. The planet Jupiter moves from Jyeshtha Nakshatra to Moola Nakshatra. Jyeshtha is the 18th nakshatra of the 27 nakshatras and is the transition point from the water to the fire signs. It is an area of crossing over from the water to fire. Jyeshtha also means the eldest or the king. The deity of Jyeshtha is Indra and he is the king of the Devatas. Now, being the king of the Devatas, he has a stellar position which he tries to maintain at all costs. The idea of being supreme for a planet is very strong in this nakshatra. This nakshatra also gives one the thought process of being undefeatable or invincible. A planet in this nakshatra also faces many ego challenges. This nakshatra is also very hardworking, intelligent, and protected. Moola nakshatra. Mool means basic. This nakshatra represents a level which can be termed as going back to the basics. The symbol of this nakshatra is the roots, the reticulated roots, and the deity is Niritti. Niritti is the goddess of destruction. It is the first nakshatra in the last of the third batch of the nakshatras and the part of the set which is into the destruction of the ego, so that the being or the soul can move into a higher plane. This nakshatra is again on the juncture of water-fire or fire-water change and hence depicts one of the highest kinds of crossover possible. This includes the Gandhanta zone and the breaking or the untying of the knots by the people in the process of moving towards the higher planes. So this crossing over takes time, and this is a period when we are likely to undergo major transformations. With this in mind, let us go ahead with the Aries Lagna and what do we have to say for the transit of Jupiter into the Sagittarius for the Aries Lagna. For the Aries Lagna, 9th ruler transits into the 9th house. The 9th house has a number of Karakatvas and so does Jupiter. So we can choose the correct properly. We can say that is one of the Karakatvas of Jupiter is administration and one of the Karakatvas of the 9th house is grandparents, or it could also be higher studies. When we decide to administer and watch carefully the way we work with our grandparents or the way we conduct higher studies, we would be able to bring about fundamental changes, and that very level when Jupiter crosses through the Moola Nakshatra. And then when it moves through Purvashada and Uttarashada Nakshatra, it enables us and empowers us to do a better in our life and bring about positive changes in our life. The 9th house and Jupiter both represent our core values. They also represent our traditional values and they represent what they need to be upright. So this transit will also be a testing time for our being upright, or for the Aries Lagna in special to being upright, for holding the correct traditional values and moving ahead with a lot of aplomb. This may not be a very easy transition initially for the first 2 or 3 months, because we also will be having Ketu placed with Jupiter. Jupiter is moving through the nakshatra of Ketu is in conjunction with Ketu, and Ketu is in the house of Jupiter. A very intimate relationship between these two is being formed. And as such, the person who stands tall is the person who is righteous the way low. Keep that in mind when we are talking, when we are seeing or doing things for the Aries Lagna. For the Taurus Lagna, there is a possibility of starting a new relationship and doing away with the old, because it's suddenness that we're going through. The 8th house, Lord transits into the 8th house. We need to let go of things which seems so strong, but may not. You know, there's certain relationships, certain things in your life which are very strong, very attractive, but they're not very sound and fit. That will lead you to let go of those things, and you can move in a more focused direction. And this direction at the moment may not seem a very good place to be. It could feel like a rock bottom place, but stay put. You need to hold on and keep working on that. If a relationship needs more time or more work, give it willingly, as it is actually in your favor, though it may not so seem at the moment. As the 8th Lord Jupiter transits the 8th house, it brings in a lot of change. And those changes are for good, because it might lead you to higher planes, higher realization, as Jupiter is also aspecting your 12th house of higher connect. You may be drawn towards occult in a very fascinating way. I would suggest as a remedial measure that you chant the name of your Ishta Devata, and that would get you into a lot of favor. For the Gemini Lagna, the 7th Lord moves into the 7th house. The 7th Lord is also a Padhakesh. It is a very important time for you to take a good look at the past karmas and do some remedies. Jupiter is an intense planet. There may be sudden obstructions in your work due especially as Jupiter enters the sign. One of the best remedies that you can do for this transit is to be on your best behavior towards your spouse and children, because the 7th house also represents your spouse, and the 9th house is also your children and your grandparents. So Jupiter, being the Lord of the 10th house, also will show a lot of obstructions in your business, but that can be rectified if you are being good to your employees, if you are being good to your spouse and children. Your partners also deserve a good treatment and respect from you. Time to set your reputation and honor straight and be extremely focused about your work, so that your work can gain grounds after 6 months and when you have been doing your remedies to a great extent well enough. For the Cancer Lagna, as the 6th Lord transits 6th house, this is a good transit, because Jupiter in the 6th house will also be aspecting your 10th house, it will also be aspecting your 2nd house. So, and your 12th house, it gives you a connect with the higher powers. It will also be giving you a connect with your job. Fundamental structurization is required. Jupiter in a sign initially in Moola will have to make you work towards getting rid of a lot of cases against you or some powers that are working against you. But initially, when you dig deep down, find out a few facts about people working in your opposition, you will be having the ability to eliminate all this opposition and make them redundant. You need to work diligently, because you will realize later that it is for your best. Any obstacles you face during this time should be taken up as a challenge to improve upon. Flow well through your work and be steady. You will find yourself in a very different and a beautiful place in a year's time. For the Leo Lagna, the 5th Lord transits the 5th house. The children need your time and attention, and so does your extended family. It's one of the best transits if you ask me, but initially, as I have mentioned it for everybody, it is a testing time. There will be fundamental changes in the way of your children, and you might be just instrumental in bringing it about for them. But remember one thing, we can show people more through our actions and deeds rather than our words. So when you bring about some changes in yourself, because the 5th house also denotes your ability to connect to your Ishta Devata. So when you are able to bring about a change through divine perception in your life, there will be a change in the way you're perceived by your children and by your elders. You would also bring about a change in your daily life and lifestyle changes, which will be beneficial for you on a later date. Any starting for a new mantra should be worked or started after a month when Jupiter transits through the Moola Nakshatra. Your ability to execute work might be tested and you need to work on your crisis management skills. It will simply grow from there. Your fundamental values need a strong foundation and you have a good chance to work on them. Before I forget, for the Cancer Lagna, I'd put in a word or two. Really move into shaping up your health regime, or else you will have a tough time when Jupiter moves into the sign of Capricorn. You can do a lot of shaping up, let go of a lot of bad habits, pick up a good habits here and there, and you would do great for yourself. For the Virgo Lagna, the fourth lord moves into the fourth house. Jupiter being the fourth lord gives you abundance. Let's not forget, Jupiter gets exalted in the fourth house of the natural zodiac. It gives you abundance in form of happiness and family. It gives you abundance in form of home. However, it requires effort from your part because Jupiter is also the Badhaka for you. As Jupiter moves into the Moola Nakshatra, it will make you work for your comforts from very basic level. It may so happen that the level of comfort and security that you take for granted will and is the most fundamental for you will need to be readdressed, but it will help you to create a more stable and a happier place for yourself, and you can build a better security blanket for yourself. As a house of happiness and emotional ties, on a long run, all these things are likely to bloom for you and will prosper with your sincere efforts and hard work. For the Libra Lagna, the third lord transits the third house. The third house represents the change of house. It represents the health issues for mother, siblings, and our courage. On the start, I'd ask you that you need to keep monitoring the health of your mother. You need to make sure that they have regular checkups and are on a good diet. Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, and it has no need to show courage. However, it can exhibit courage when there is a need. In this case, the person needs to dwell inside of himself or herself to understand the reason why he or she needs to show courage. Because sometimes we need to stand up against what is wrong, and we can do it in a very wise manner. It need not always be that of Mars, where we have to fight it out. It could be something done very wisely and something done very sophisticatedly. There may be certain issues or points of clarification with siblings. They may need a help to start afresh at one point or one area in your life. You have the ability and blessings to help them through. A change of place for you might be possible. For the Scorpio Lagna, the second lord transits to the second house. The second house stands for wealth, family, morals, ethics, and education. For students, it is a good time to start off something new and start studying about it right from the base. This will help you gain mastery over the subject. For the family members, it may be time to reconsider certain values of family tradition that are losing ground and set it in some strong fundamental values. Also, as regards the money matters, one needs to look out for new avenues of earning money. Initially, it may require a lot of hard work and sustenance, but it will carry you to the peak after a period. We move on to Sagittarius Lagna. Well, here comes in a galloping senator, and he is happy to find the Lord being back home. For the Sagittarius Lagna, the Lagna Lord transits through the Lagna. the Lagna Lord becomes Digbali in transit, and for the next whole and as such year, and as such is able to deliver a lot of good things your way. However, all good things are accompanied by hard work and adaptability. As you learn certain fundamentals of life, you will realize that your mistakes, what they have been, and you have a better way of correcting them and turning yourself into gold. Certain household matters will take precedence and you should not neglect them for your business, or you are likely to face trouble for it. It is a time when you should learn about controlling your temperament. There could be a possibility that you would begin to live life afresh at one level. So something new can be moving into your life. You can be doing things in a number of manner, but everything will require your hard work, will require your persistence, and it will require a great deal of patience from you. Don't lose out on your patience, because Moola Nakshatra is famous for patience, and Lagna Lord, fire and patience, or Moola Nakshatra can be a little too deadly a combination for you. For the Capricorn Lagna, as the 12th Lord returns to the 12th house, it can connect you to the highest power, as it is in conjunction with the Lagna Lord, Mokshakaraka Ketu, for a long time in this house. It will also give you a spiritual outlook and the need to stand up to your values. You could be developing a softer and a more philosophical side, and you would need to go out and help others in need. This also helps you keep the diseases in bay. Let me explain it to you why. Because Jupiter would be aspecting your 6th house, and when Jupiter aspects your 6th house, it expands your 6th house. That is, it would bring in factors of either disease, death, or it could also mean service to others. From my point of view, I would always choose service to others, because this is one of the best ways to fulfill your karmic debt. There's also a need for you to have a check on your spending and develop a strong schedule and regime for your expenses. To respect elders at the workplace is a must, as it will empower you. There may also be a job change that you have been looking out for some time, and you may have to work under people who have less knowledge or experience than you. In all honesty, this will work wonders for you in your humility, because honestly, Capricorn Lagna people do not suffer from being humble. And you will move on to a better position as Jupiter moves ahead. We move on to Aquarius Lagna. For the Aquarius Lagna, the 11th Lord transits into the 11th house. For the Upachaya houses, 11th house is the highest of them all. It is a great time for the Aquarius Lagna people, as Jupiter, the Dhanakaraka for this Lagna, transits into the 11th house. As it transits into Moola Nakshatra, this is likely to show up certain disillusions for you. It is time when your personal and professional life could be a little shaken up, because these disillusions could, these breaking ups could actually have a great impact on you. But we need to remember one thing, that nature has a way of cleaning things up. 1 and 2, what is born needs to be left. 3, that until there's something moving out of your life, nothing new will come in. So once all this is done, you will find that a lot of new energy moves into your house and it takes you to a greater height. But again, as I repeat, it is after hard work and working with proper contacts. Your contact circle will see a great expansion and you will be progressively moving into exalted circles. You need to take care of the fact that you take correct steps and measures, as Ketu is associated with Jupiter for a long time. Finally, we come to the Pisces Lagna. The Pisces Lagna, the 10th Lord transits the 10th house. It is again a very strong yoga, because the Lord of the highest Kendra moves into the highest Kendra once again, and it gives the person a great ability to reach the peak of their profession. And it is also the time when you can make your name and fame under the sun, because Jupiter gives you that name and fame that one can. And being in a progressive sign, being in a fire sign, it is sure to hand it over to you in a platter, because it is the lord of that sign. As you get more and more involved in your work, you may come to realize that it needs restructuration. You may also be wanting to start a new business. This will require a lot of your time and effort, but is likely to bring you name, fame, and recognition on a long run. It is time for you to work for some social services again. Why do I say that? Because Jupiter again here aspects your sixth house, and that service will endear you to the public and also get your pending karma completed, especially during the month of December and January, when the sixth lord, that is Sun, conjoins Jupiter in Sagittarius. That was all for all the zodiacs, but let us see what are the good days this week. This week we have off 7 days, we have 5 days which have a very beautiful effect, and you can always do any good work on these days: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. These 5 days of the coming week, that is the 1st of September, the 2nd of September, the 3rd of September, 4th of September, and the 6th of September, does a great work for us to do good work. This is about the transit of Jupiter. Jupiter also brings us a lot of prosperity and a lot of wisdom into our lives. So this wisdom, however, cannot be gained in one instance. It will do us a lot of good to remember that even the sun takes 6 hours to reach the zenith. So anything that can of value, of good that we need in our life is not got just handed over to us on a platter. It has to be worked for. Moola Nakshatra helps us realize our base. It helps us realize that we can do a lot of good work. We have the ability to struggle once we have passed through the test of Moola Nakshatra. Purvashara helps us realize that we do have the fighting spirit, we do have the ability to go out and work for what we desire, what we need. And when Jupiter finally moves into Uttarashara, it makes sure that you reach your peak. With this, we will be continuing our journey of Jupiter through each of the padas, each of these nakshatras for the next whole year. Keep watching out for this space. Till we meet again, stay safe, and may Jupiter bless us with the wisdom that it has. Thank you.